Good morning. We're going to get started. The members will take their seats, and if any visitors will retire behind the rail, we can get started. Prior to us starting, I'd ask that if there's anyone that has a cell phone or any other electronic device that makes noise, I'd ask that you please turn it on silent or turn it off. Appreciate your cooperation. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Bishop Garvin Floyd of Fellowship of Love, Church of God. He is here today as the guest of Councilwoman Bass. I would ask all members, guests, and visitors to please rise.
Let every heart pray. Father God, we come to you, creator and sustainer of life. Ask you to stop by here, oh God. God, you know what we stand in need of before we began to enter into this place, God. God, we ask you to be with us. Be with Philadelphia, oh God, with the gun violence and all the things that are taking place in our city, oh God. Help us to come together. The Father, you said in your word in Proverbs 3:5-6 for us to lean not to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge you, oh God. We come acknowledging you, Lord, over everything. Lord, over our kids. Lord, over our streets. Lord, over this meeting, God. God, have your way in this place, oh God. Keep us, guide us, and lead us that we'll do things according to your will and not our will, oh God. Father, we realize, oh God, if it wasn't for you, where would we be, oh God? I ask you right now in the name of Jesus Christ, the Father, that you prick hearts and minds, the Father, and remind them, oh God, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. We keep doing what we've been doing. We'll keep getting what we've been getting. Help us, oh God, to do something different. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, pastors, for those inspiring words. Council will be at ease. Thank you again. Folks, can I ask you to hold your voices down, please? Thank you. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting on Thursday, June 13, 2019, and the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 13, 2019 be approved.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 13, 2019 stand approved. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that journal is approved. Our next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the majority, there are no requests for leave of absence today.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair now recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Republicans, there are no requests for leave of absence.
Chair thanks the gentleman. At this time, I would like to take a moment to thank everyone that has taken time out of their busy day to witness their government in action. We genuinely appreciate you being here. We hope that your stay here today is a knowledgeable one, but more importantly, a pleasurable one, so much so that you come back again. So again, thank you for being here. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Domb, who presented a resolution honoring Dave Davies. With Mr. Davies and those accompanying him, please join the councilman at the podium. And joining Councilman Domb, we have Councilman Greenlee, Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, Councilwoman Parker, Councilman Green, Councilman O, Councilman Heenan, and Councilman Jones.
All members of council have supported this resolution, and you're all invited to come up if you'd like.
Exactly what I said.
Okay. So today, Dave, on behalf of all members of City Council, we welcome you today. We also welcome your wife, Myrna, and your sister, Donna. And, you know, today I asked some of your colleagues in the media their opinion of you. And from Pat Loeb, she said, fair, caring, and a mensch. And that's after 35 years, I understand, of a long-standing, great relationship. It's pretty amazing. And from Jake, I'm calling you out, Jake, he said he's accurate. Really good. And from Hal, where's Hal over here? Hal Fischella's Hal said to me, I didn't know this, you're a scratch golfer and a shortstop. Pretty amazing. And from all my members of council who I spoke to about Dave Davies, the common comment from everyone was fair, honest, and accurate. I don't think you can get better than that. So today, we're honoring and congratulating Dave Davies on his retirement from WHYY's news desk and recognizing his excellence in journalism.
And whereas after 37 years reporting on Philadelphia politics, using facts versus sensationalism, currently with WHYY, Dave Davies is stepping away from his work at the news desk as a senior reporter.
Whereas Mr. Davies, throughout his tenure in Philadelphia political reporting, is known for his tenacious investigations and fair reporting.
Whereas prior to his career at WHYY, Mr. Davies worked as a City Hall reporter for the Daily News for 19 years.
Whereas Mr. Davies also reported on City Hall with KYW News Radio.
And whereas Dave Davies epitomized what I call a possibility thinker. Before he was a journalist, Mr. Davies was also a welder, a cab driver, a teacher as a young man finding his path in the city.
Whereas Mr. Davies has covered many historic moments in Philadelphia politics, and
whereas Mr. Davies has an unassailable reputation for fairness and excellence in journalism with politicians on both sides of the aisle.
Whereas Mr. Davies upholds and teaches the fundamentals of journalism in modern times by encouraging the most important fact of all reporters to check their facts and give voice to every side of an issue.
No fake news.
Whereas Mr. Davies will continue his presence on WHYY's award-winning program, Fresh Air with Terry Gross.
Now therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Philadelphia that Dave Davies is honored and congratulated on his retirement from the news desk and for his excellent reporting on Philadelphia politics over the last nearly 4 decades. Congratulations.
And the chair recognizes Mr. Davies for remarks.
Thank you, Council President. This is a little overwhelming. I want to thank Councilman Domb for the honor of this resolution and thank all of you who did not object when the voice vote was held. Appreciate that. I know from many years sitting at that press table that nobody wants a long speech on the last day before recess, so I will be brief. I want to say a couple of things, though, about this body and you members. One is that I really appreciate what you do, that is to say, the challenges that you face. The city has a lot of needs, and resources are always thin, and the politics are tough, and the policy questions are tough, and I appreciate the way you grapple with them day in and day out. And I encourage you as you do that to think broadly, think not just about what this piece of legislation does today, but how it fits in with the city's tax structure and the regulatory structure and the real abilities of government, and use all of that when you're thinking about where we're going. I also want to say that although people love to make fun of Philadelphia politicians, and we've had our moments for sure, people don't appreciate that the procedures by which this body considers legislation are far more deliberative and transparent than you will find in legislative bodies elsewhere. In Washington, senators can anonymously put a hold on legislation, anonymously. In Harrisburg, they can ram through a piece of far-reaching consequential legislation in hours in the middle of the night. You remember what happened when the leadership of the parking authority changed hands back in, 2003? It happens. That doesn't happen here, right? You introduce a bill, there is a hearing, it is advertised. When it is enacted, it must be read in final form at least twice a week in succession, typically 3 times. And I think it's a little messy and it takes a little longer, but I have seen over years and years of covering this body that it results in better legislation. And I think people should know that. I also just want to say that I think it's a good thing that unlike some national figures, you don't mock those who cover you as purveyors of fake news or enemies of the people. You know that by and large, the people who cover you believe in the city, work hard, and want to get it right. And so I think it'll take your best efforts and their best efforts to ensure that democracy continues in the city and that local government is responsive. So I want to wish you good judgment, good staff, good partners in Harrisburg, fingers crossed on that, right? And a good national economy because it makes things so much better here. I've lived here for 44 years. Since Frank Rizzo was mayor and Joan Krajewski occupied Councilman Heenan's seat. So I've been around a while, and I'm still here, and what you do will be of interest and consequence to me, and so I will continue to follow it, and I wish you all good luck, and thank you again for this honor.
Thank you, Councilor Davies. Thank you, and again, congratulations. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger, who will present a presentation to Jim Donnelly to thank him for his military service. With Mr. Donnelly and those accompanying him, please join the councilman at the podium. And joining Councilman Taubenberger, we have Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, Councilman Domb, Councilman O'Neill.
Council President, thank you for recognizing me. This also is a special honor because it's part of the Philadelphia story. As a child of immigrants coming from a place where there was really at that time no freedom, no one could speak up, no one would dare demonstrate. It means a lot to me to honor any serviceman because this freedom isn't free. The Taubenberger family knows that firsthand. Coming from Germany in the 1930s, there was nothing said about freedom. No one spoke up, no one could speak up for fear of your lives. Honoring and recognizing Jim Donnelly for his service in the United States Navy.
The Council of the City of Philadelphia is pleased and proud to honor and recognize Jim Donnelly for his loyal and dedicated service to our country.
And whereas Jim Donnelly has served our country by enabling the United States military to perform its functions overseas and at home, by providing a wide range of services for the communities where he has been stationed, and
whereas each service person knows that they risk their lives in battle, and in every war there are acts of extraordinary courage, where an individual goes beyond what is expected to avert conflict, save lives, or otherwise achieve a mission. The acts of those individuals through feats of courage, nobility of purpose, or life-risking situations make them true heroes, and we proudly call Jim Donnelly a hero.
One point of personal privilege, Mr. Donnelly was in Vietnam not once, but twice. That's something that's very important to know. Therefore, by virtue of this citation, the Council of the City of Philadelphia does hereby honor and recognize Jim Donnelly for his loyal and dedicated service to our country. With appreciation, we extend in sincere respect and admiration of this legislative body. Mr. Donnelly, congratulations.
And the chair recognizes Mr. Donnelly for remarks.
Thank you so much, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank Clark and Mr. Taubenberger for nominating me and the rest of the city council people for letting me stand before you. I did my service. I loved every minute of it, believe it or not. I went back from war, 70 years old, still standing here, and I think I'm going to stay a little longer. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilman Davies.
Oh, yes, and also Mrs. Donnelly. There's always somebody behind the commander-in-chief, and in this case, Mr. Donnelly is a very lucky man, Mrs. Donnelly.
Thank you, Councilman Davies. Thank you, and again, congratulations and thank you for your service. Our next order of business is communications, and the chair requests that the Sergeant of Arms delivers the messages from the mayor to the chief clerk. Mr. Decker, please read those messages.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, I am pleased to advise you that on June 18, 2019, I signed the following bills which were passed by Council at its session on June 13, 2019. Bill numbers 190152, 190153, 190154, 190155, and 190317. And that on June 19, 2019, I signed the following bills which were passed by Council at its session on June 13, 2019. Bill numbers 190413, 190438, 190568, and 190469. And I am hereby returning without my signature Bill number 190255A, which was passed by Council at its session on June 6, 2019. And I am submitting herewith for the consideration of your honorable body an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14600 entitled Use Regulations by amending standards for accessory dwelling units and making related changes. And an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14800 entitled Parking and Loading by amending parking standards for historically designated properties. And an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14600 entitled Use Regulations by amending use standards for historically designated properties and making related changes, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. You have any additional communications?
I have none, Mr. President.
Those messages will be printed in today's journal. And our next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Good morning, Mr. President. I offer one bill this morning.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Chapter 93400 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Energy Conservation to add a new Section 93403 entitled Building Energy Performance Policy to require owners of certain large buildings to conduct tune-ups of the energy and water systems in such buildings.
Further committee, chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I have no bills or resolutions.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, on your behalf, I offer two bills.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privileged resolution commending and honoring Tareen Jihei Flaherty for her steadfast commitment to bringing Philadelphia's history of student activism and protest politics into the national spotlight and for winning first place in Pennsylvania and second place nationwide in the 2019 National History Day competition.
Today's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner on Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 37th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
And that will be on next session's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I introduced two bills, one co-introduced with Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14200 entitled Definitions and Chapter 14600 entitled Use Regulations by amending creating the use category Smoking Lounge and related changes.
Further committee.
And an ordinance amending Title 16 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Public Property to provide for the availability of a person trained in the use of defibrillators at all times during the use by permit or license of a city facility.
Further committee. Do we have a resolution? No resolution. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, today I offer three bills on your behalf and one privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance amending Chapter 10800 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Safety by adding a new section to make police interactions with gun owners safer by including duties and penalties for individuals stopped by law enforcement officers who are licensed or exempted to carry a concealed firearm and are in possession of a firearm.
Refer to committee.
And an ordinance amending various sections of Title IX entitled Regulation of Businesses, Trades, and Professions, and Title X entitled Regulation of Individual Conduct and Activity of the Philadelphia Code, relating to duties of individuals and their weapons, firearms, ammunition, and other related items that involve weapons and firearms by making these sections effective immediately.
Further committee.
And an ordinance amending Section 10836A of the Philadelphia Code entitled Temporary Removal of Firearms of Persons Posing a Risk of Imminent Personal Injury to Self or Others, to add provisions for any two concerned citizens to make application to the courts for the temporary removal of firearms from persons at risk for suicide or posing a risk of substantial harm to others.
Further committee.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring the late Jeff Duperon, a beloved ambassador of jazz music in Philadelphia.
Today's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Council President, I have one bill on your behalf.
Thank you, Councilman.
A non-privileged resolution calling on the Director of Planning and Development to commission an annual disparity study of land dispositions by the city and its related agencies.
We'll ask for suspension.
Thank you, Council President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit consideration of this resolution on today's final passage calendar.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. This resolution will be on today's final passage calendar. Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez.
Thank you, Council President. I have one bill on your behalf sponsored by Councilman Johnson, Councilwoman Parker, Councilwoman Janie Blackwell, and myself. One bill and one resolution sponsored by all members of City Council.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Title 16 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Public Property by amending Chapter 16400 entitled Vacant and Surplus Properties, Chapter 16500 entitled Councilmanic District Development Program, and Chapter 16700 entitled Philadelphia Land Bank, in order to establish uniform procedures for the disposition of property by the city and city-related agencies to whom the city conveys property.
Further to committee.
And an ordinance amending Chapter 91100 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Fair Practices Ordinance, Protections Against Unlawful Discrimination, amending Chapter 94100 entitled Promoting Healthy Families and Workplaces, and adding a new chapter entitled Protections for Domestic Workers, all to provide protections for domestic workers and to establish remedial and enforcement provisions.
Also refer to committee.
And a privilege resolution recognizing the contributions of nannies, house cleaners, care workers, and other domestic workers whose work holds up Philadelphia's communities and households by declaring June 16, 2019 as International Domestic Workers Day in the city of Philadelphia.
And that will be on today's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Thank you, Council President. I have one privilege resolution for today.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution authorizing the Committee of the Whole to hold hearings regarding the Plainview Project database on objectionable social media posts of law enforcement officers.
And that will be on today's final passes calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker. Oh, 1 second, Councilwoman. Councilman Johnson, did you want to be recognized?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just want to acknowledge our Philadelphia International Airport internship program. We have young people who will be observing our body and our work today. I just want to ask for all of them to stand and just give them acknowledgement for their hard work and their dedication this summer.
Thank you all for being here. You picked a great day to be here. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Domb.
Thank you, Council President. Good morning. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes, here she goes. Okay. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I have one bill and one privilege resolution.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Title 21 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Miscellaneous by adding a new chapter 213100 entitled Reporting of Settlements of Civil Actions to establish a system of quarterly reporting and evaluation of means to reduce future liability.
Further committee.
And a privilege resolution honoring the Friends, Peace, and Sanctuary Project for its work in providing Philadelphia-based Iraqi and Syrian residents a space to explore and share their experiences of migration, resilience, and refuge through the arts.
And that will be on today's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Morning, Council President. I have 3 privilege resolutions, and after reading of the titles, I would like a word. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution recognizing July 23, 2019 as World Castleman Disease Day and recognizing the continued efforts of Dr. David Fragenbaum and the Castleman Disease Collaborative Network in searching for a cure for Castleman's disease.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring and congratulating Kyle Lowry, a North Philadelphia native, on the event of his winning the NBA championship and for his continued positive presentation of Philadelphia.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring and recognizing Captain Maximilian Clark, a Philadelphia native, for his continued service in the United States Navy for over 20 years and his appointment as the commanding officer of the aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz.
Also on today's calendar, Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Council President. The resolution honoring Captain Maximilian Clark gives me special pride because I knew him as a young boy growing up in Burholm. He's a fantastic young fella. He works hard, but he's also very, very much part of the Philadelphia story. It should really be noted how important that command is. The United States Navy has only 11 United States aircraft carriers, one of which is the USS Nimitz. But it's also a story of diversity, inclusion, and immigrants. I am very, very proud to say that Miss Heidi Clark is born in Germany, in the city of Grafing bei München. Her husband, Harry Clark, is a veteran of the United States Army, serving in Vietnam. Maximilian Clark is a graduate of Northeast High. Philadelphia should be very, very proud that Maximilian Clark continues this very important commitment to the Navy, something this city has had from the very beginning when the Navy was born. And one other note, there are two very important German Americans who made the victory in World War II essential, Eisenhower and Nimitz. And having a son of a German immigrant take command of the USS Nimitz, himself being a son of Germany, is something very, very special indeed. And I would like Mr. and Mrs. Clark to stand up and be recognized by this body. And I thank all my colleagues for co-sponsoring this resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you so much for your service. Genuinely appreciate it. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. For one bill.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance establishing no parking and tow-away regulations on the east side of Academy Road from Grant Avenue to Glen Street.
Referred to committee. And Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman, can you introduce it for the councilman?
Certainly. We have
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass on behalf of Councilman Squilla.
a bunch of stuff.
I think it's 6 and 2.
On behalf of Councilman Squilla, I want to introduce 6 bills and 2 privilege resolutions.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
So, an ordinance amending Title IX of the Philadelphia Code entitled Regulation of Businesses, Trades, and Professions by adding a new Chapter 94500 entitled Prohibition on the Use of Certain Bags and Checkout Bag Charge to permit the use of only certain bags by retail establishments at the point of sale or for a delivery. And an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14800 entitled Parking and Loading by amending parking standards for historically designated properties. And an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14600 entitled Use Regulations by amending standards for accessory dwelling units and making related changes. And an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14600 entitled Use Regulations by amending use standards for historically designated properties and making related changes, and an ordinance establishing a neighborhood improvement district to be known as the Fishtown Area Business Improvement District in the area that generally includes both sides of Frankfurt Avenue, from the west side of Delaware Avenue to the southwest side of Lehigh Avenue, and an ordinance establishing a neighborhood improvement district to be known as the South Philly Market District in an area that generally includes all taxable commercial properties, properties used for any for-profit activity involving trade or commerce in general, including vacant commercial and industrial zone parcels and residential properties, comprised of at least one unit rented to tenants for profit along both sides of South 9th Street from the south side of Fitzwater Street to the north side of Federal Street.
And those 6 bills just read by the Chief Clerk will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution initiating action to establish a neighborhood improvement district to be known as the South Philly Market District.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit consideration of this resolution on today's final passage calendar.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution will be on today's final passage calendar.
And a resolution initiating action to establish a neighborhood improvement district in an area that generally includes both sides of Frankfurt Avenue from the west side of Delaware Avenue to the southwest side of Lehigh Avenue.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit consideration of this resolution on today's final passage calendar.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. That will be on today's final passage calendar. And the chair, Councilwoman, you don't have any. You're
No
not
bills or
introducing.
resolutions this
Thank
week,
you, Councilwoman.
Mr. President. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. On your behalf, I offer one resolution, and I also offer one bill.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Finance, Taxes, and Collections by adding 3 new definitions to Section 191501 and adding a new Section 191507 entitled Student Debt Tax Credit.
Thank you. That bill shall be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a non-privileged resolution amending Resolution Number 190096A, designating the office within City Council that currently serves the needs of veterans and their families as the Office of Veterans Affairs, confirming the continued responsibility of the Veterans Advisory Commission to provide assistance to that office, and amending and restating Resolution Number 060059 as amended by Resolution Number 070094 to further provide for the powers and duties of the Veterans Advisory Commission and the method of appointing its commissioners.
And that will be on next session's calendar. That concludes the introduction of bills and resolutions. And our next order of business is reports from committee. And the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee for a report from the Committee on Rules.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Rules reports one bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, the Committee on Rules, to which is referred Bill Number 190406, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Aspen Street, 26th Street, and Pennsylvania Avenue. Respectfully reports it has considered the same and returns the attached bill to Council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so it's permit for first reading this day of Bill Number 190406.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 190406. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. And this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilman Heenan for a report from the Committee of Public Property and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee of Public Property and Public Works reports 2 bills out with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, read the report.
The Committee on Public Property and Public Works, to which is referred Bill Number 190507, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into an amendment to a lease agreement with Red Gap Limited Partnership for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 4000 North American Street, and Bill Number 190508, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease agreement with EOM Athletic Association Incorporated for use by EOM of all or a portion of the premises located at 144 Moore Street. Respectfully reports it has considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Chair again recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading of this day, bill numbers 190507 and 190508.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded the rules of council be suspended this day so as to permit first reading of bills number 190507, 190508. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. That concludes our reports from committee. And our next order of business is consideration of the calendar. I note that the bills just reported from committee with the suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had a first reading. It will be on our next session of council's final passes. Mr. Decker, please read any other bills on our first reading calendar today.
Bill number 190233, entitled an ordinance continuing the East Passyunk Avenue Business Improvement District beyond its termination date in an area that generally includes both sides of East Passyunk Avenue from the south side of Federal Street to the east side of South Broad Street, certain blocks of streets that intersect that portion of East Passyunk Avenue, both sides of South Broad Street, from the north side of McKean Street to the north side of Snyder Avenue, and the west side of South Broad Street from the south side of Mifflin Street to the north side of McKean Street, for which East Passyunk Avenue Business Improvement District Incorporated, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, is the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association for the district.
Chair agrees. This bill will be placed on our second reading and our final passage calendar at our next session of council. Before we move on to our next, Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to take a moment to recognize two young women who will be with my office through August, Ms. Justice Taggart and Arian Taggart. And we also have a special volunteer with us today named Miriam Stewart. Miriam is heading to 9th grade at Penn Charter, and Justice is a rising senior at Central High School, and Arian is a rising junior at Bodine. They both come to our office through the Philadelphia Youth Network, an organization that helps our young people prepare for the workforce. PYN provides year-round work-ready employment programming and educational initiatives for in-school and out-of-school children and young adults aged 12 to 24. PYN is an exemplary community partner, and I'm proud to have two of their smart, hardworking students in my office this summer. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Chair now recognizes Councilman Heenan for a motion concerning the bills on the second reading and final passage calendar today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the following bills on second reading and final passage calendars today. They are bill numbers 190099-A, 19047 or 457-A, 190458-A, 190462-A, 190444-A, 190181, 190232, 190250, 190254, 190256, 190305, 190306, 190311, 190312, 190313, 190356, 190359, 190360, 190361, 190362, 190380, 190470, 190408, 190409, 190415, 190435, 190437, 190443, 190447, 190448, 190229, 190358, 190383, 190384, 190385, 190412, 190431, 190432, 190433, 190439, 190440, 190441, 19042, 181006, 190455, 190461, and 190378.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Heenan. Before considering these bills or resolutions that are on the final passage calendar today, yes, Mr. Decker. All right, it's been moved, little housekeeping. It's been moved and seconded that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the bills just read by Councilman Heenan. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. The motion carries, and we will consider the consent agenda shortly. Chair again recognizes Councilman Heenan for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to the bills being considered on the consent agenda, the following resolutions and bills are being called up for the second reading and final passage calendars today. They are bill numbers 190566, 190567, 190568, 190569, 190571, 190572, 190573, 190574, 190575, 190576, 190577, 190579, 190580, 190584, 190467-A, 190253. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay. Thank you. Before considering these resolutions and bills, we will consider public comment as follows. Today, I'm going to try to accommodate everybody possible. We have a significant number of individuals who want to testify today. This one, for the record, notice a number of people that I believe would like to speak about the issue relating to police postings, and you've indicated on the list using the newest tradition where you put down something else, such as school suspension, to get to what you really want to speak for. So because there has been a resolution that is introduced that is on the final passage calendar today, you can speak about the issue as it relates to police posting, so we don't have to segue into what you really want to talk about. So, all right. Now, I know you all like that part. Now, yeah, you know, look, I understand. I know what goes on. It's all good, though. The other issue is, though, we have a lot of people that want to speak, and, you know, under the rules, it allows us to cut off same subject matter. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that everybody that has come down has an opportunity to speak. So I'm going to have to limit your time to 2 minutes, and best possible, if you can just alter your conversation as best possible to reflect a 2-minute time limit. So we want to, because I know a lot of people came down, and there's some very important things on the agenda today, so I want to make sure everybody has a chance, okay? So, when your name is called, we go to the middle of the chambers. For those of you who have not been here before, that podium in the middle has a device on it. When the light turns green on that device, it will be your time to speak. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. So please ask you to kind of start wrapping it up. And when the light turns red, you would ask that you please adhere to the guidelines to conclude your remarks. Again, we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak, so we please ask you to adhere to the guidelines. Thank you very much for your consideration. And Mr. Decker, if you can call the first name on the list.
Ed O'Donnell. Ed O'Donnell. Imam Isa Mateen.
My name is Imam Isa Mateen. Again. Regarding the bill about suspending the school students. We don't need our children suspended, walking in the streets, where they will be committing crimes or just getting into problems, being picked up by police, and we know there's a problem with the police, right? We don't need that. The police are not concerned with our youth. They have no confidence in the police. The police, you know, with this 300 police making these statements, no one believes there's only 300 police. It's, in fact, the entire Fraternal Order of Police, in the view of us, is a criminal organization that should be prosecuted under the RICO Act. They are in line with a global white supremacist terrorist network that is responsible, that is in line with the people responsible for bombing churches, shooting up mosques in New Zealand. This network exists in our police department, and we don't want to turn our youth over to this terrorist network. We want the police to be, it really should be disbanded and replaced, because all the FOP does is protect criminal cops, racist cops, white supremacist cops. So we are not in favor of turning our youth over to be arrested, beaten, and assaulted by the police.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Tiffany Green.
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. I just want to start off with, we're opposed to Bill 190356. The reason why we're opposed to this, because the fact that this is a market rate development that would be moved in, and the Planning Commission staff said they do not support this project. When have you ever known the Planning Commission staff not to support a new development? They said it will lead to displacement and housing price increases. I'm calling on some of our council people to give us a postponement. The black community was shut out of all meetings. If this was such a wonderful project, why didn't our councilmen tell us this during re-election? Why don't you say, hey, we're going to have a development with $750 apartment? No, because $750 is a studio apartment. They forgot to tell you that. $1,200 is one bedroom all the way up to $1,800. Do you care the fact that these complexes will speed up gentrification in poor areas? Do you care that the fact that the rents will increase in the black areas going all the way back? Do you care that the fact that developers will try to target Wilson Park, PHA, and all of the black areas? Do you care that newcomers will come and dictate and control the area with RCOs, excluding blacks and low-income people from policing, over-policing, and racial profiling? They will make the poor people feel like they're unwanted down here. I appreciate everybody here for police brutality, but this is housing brutality. When a child is uprooted from their neighborhood, from their school, from their friends, and they're placed in a shelter, you know what the mental anguish is on that? To understand that you are no longer, that you are in a shelter? That is mental anguish, and that is housing brutality. We must address this. We are asking you to give us a postponement. Let us meet with this developer. When you give him an overlay, he never comes back. He doesn't have to accept a community engagement. He doesn't have to go through the community process, and it gets rid of the ZBA process. Give us a postponement and let us speak with this developer so we can minimize the gentrification
Thank you, Ms. Green.
in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles Reeves Jr. Charles Reeves Jr.
Next name.
Laverna Johnson. Commenting on 190356.
Good afternoon.
Everybody. I would like to speak on the bill 190357. Laverne Johnson.
Thank you.
That's who I am. And to our councilmen, we feel very appalled that we were not invited to any of the meetings about that project in South Philadelphia. We are extremely appalled because the Italian neighborhood was invited to a meeting. We didn't find out about the meeting until now 2 weeks ago, Thursday. And we really are very upset about that. We need to meet with the developer. We need to meet with the developer. I think again and again and again, this is just outrageous to our community, and we're not going to stand for it. We are not going to stand for it. We are totally upset about that. And I believe it's just plantation politics. That's what it is. Plantation politics. Business as usual. And another thing I would like to say, I appreciate everybody being honored. Everybody needs to be honored. But I believe that city council need to take all that somewhere else. So this is city time and it's city business. And the business as usual got to go. It's got to go. Even the man of God said it this morning. Business as usual must go. It has to go. And God knows everybody needs to be honored, but I believe you need to take it at another place, at another time, and let us deal with business, city business. I am appalled at city council at this very moment. I really am. My soul is upset with city council right now. Business as usual gotta go. It's too serious out here. The police are hurting my 13 and 14-year-old boys. They don't know nothing about crime. They really don't. Innocent children. And they got stopped on Memorial Day for, what do you call it? What do you call it?
Oh, man.
When they touch the children.
Right.
They said they stop and frisk. That's what it was. They always see the children. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
See the children,
Thank you.
and that's what they call it. Say
Thank you.
somebody else just robbed somewhere. Stop and frisk.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Ethel Wise. Commenting on 190356.
Good afternoon.
Ethel Wise.
Good afternoon, President of the Council, and good afternoon, Council. We, the residents of Wilson Park Resident Council, support the 2301 Oregon Avenue Shopping Center. The Resident Council of Wilson Park currently helps over 680 residents in their housing develop located in the heart of South Philadelphia. The 2301 Oregon Avenue Shopping Center will benefit the residents and community tremendously. The new development of the shopping center will provide several jobs for the residents and the community. The residents of Wilson Park and the community will be close to home while making a better life for their families by becoming employed. We would sincerely appreciate City Council support of our decision in supporting 2301 Oregon Avenue Shopping Center. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, the Wilson Park Resident Council.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Claudia Sherrod. Commenting on 190356.
Hello, my name is Claudia Smith Gerard, and I come here representing Bill number 190356. I am full support of the 23rd and Oregon Shopping Center. I have lived in this community for well over 60 years, and I've seen the deterioration of this facility, and I think it's a great, great project, and I'm 1,000% in support of it. The key businesses that are staying or ShopRite, Ross, Models, LA Fitness, Rainbow, and Dunkin' Donuts. There will be others, and I'm excited about it because I still like shopping. New stores are being brought into this to fill in vacant spaces and creating 210 new jobs. The parking lot and property boundaries will be landscape greening the properties with trees and other plants. The Economic Opportunity Plan has diversity goals exceeding city targets, 40% minority and women participation in the construction. You can't ask for much more. I mean, I'm just excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
But one other comment, if I didn't overstate my time. I think that in terms of the police department, Article 6, Section 1-10 should be read, and the police should be fired.
Thank you for your testimony.
Solomon Jones.
No justice! No justice! If you are here, all right. Thank you. We are here as Philadelphians.
Hold on, folks.
We are here as Philadelphians because we pay taxes. We are here as Philadelphians because this ornate chamber with the gold inlay and with the marble and with the carpet, this is ours. And everybody in here works for us. And so we support Derek Green's resolution calling for hearings on the racist police who posted on Facebook and who said openly that they hate the people whose communities they patrol. We are here on behalf of our wives and our children. We are here on behalf of our husbands, our sons. We are here on behalf of the people because we will not have racist police patrolling our streets. Now, City Council, many of you are friends. Many of you I have worked with. Last time I was here, you were recognizing me. I am now here to recognize the fact that you work for us. I am here now to recognize the fact that Derek Green only has 10 co-sponsors on that resolution. Where are the rest? All of you work for us. We need you standing up for us. And so we will not stand for you sitting down on this issue. We will see you at election time if you are not supporting this resolution. We need all of you standing up together on this issue and making sure that our communities are safe. That's what we sent you here for, not to recognize me or anybody else. We sent you here to represent the people. We need you representing the people. We need you standing up on this issue. We need you telling the police that you stand with us and not with anybody else. We need to be protected in this issue by our people. And so we are not asking, we are not imploring, we are demanding, City Council, that you stand up on this issue. And the last thing I want to say, on behalf of my wife and my children, on behalf of my neighbors and all of the people who I love, on behalf of everyone here in the city of Philadelphia, no justice! No justice! No justice! No racist! Peace.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Let's go through the list. Thank you so much for your testimony.
Alan Waller.
I stand in support of the bill being offered by Derek Green, and I stand in support of the words already offered by Solomon Jones. All of us are here because we know what is right. You know what is right. We expect you to do what is right. The reality is we cannot afford this type of police behavior in our community. Everyone has stood up. We have not heard from you yet. We expect to hear from you, but not only in voice, but also in deed. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for your testimony, Reverend.
Mark Tyler.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. We come standing as a coalition, Rally for Justice. I want to thank Solomon Jones for calling all of us together. Today I stand on behalf of the Live Free campaign of power. We're joined with Black Clergy of Philadelphia, National Action Network, NAACP, Guardian Civic League, Philadelphia Student Union. We stand with those who we've named and those who are also nameless, who also come out today to bring attention to the Plainview Project. If you've not seen it, I urge you to go to plainviewproject.org. There you will find some of the most hateful, vile speech that you've ever seen, not just by anyone, but by 328 Philadelphia police officers. We've heard from the mayor. We met with him and he expressed to us his outrage and displeasure. Heard from the commissioner, who similarly was upset and outraged and has backed it up by taking 72 persons off the streets. And we hope that they'll soon not only be off the streets, but also be fired. And yet, strangely, we've not heard from this council in a unanimous body. We appreciate the efforts of those individuals who have presented resolutions and bills. We stand in support of the bill by Councilmember Green and by the efforts of Council Members Jones and Curtis and also Gim. But we need to hear and see the same energy by this body that it put into muting R. Kelly, who does not live in Philadelphia, who does not patrol the streets of Philadelphia, who's never stopped and frisked anyone in Philadelphia. If this body can unanimously vote to mute R. Kelly, certainly it can do the same for the 328. And let me just say this before I take my seat. Maybe some of you are quiet because you haven't seen the post. Here's one of the greatest hits, Death to Islam. Here's another that says that of black folk, blacks just seem to don't want to listen to police, have violent tendencies like jungle animals, and if you didn't need incentive enough, this is what they said about your council colleague, Cindy Bass, that someone should shut and smack this stupid in the mouth.
Right.
If you won't stand up for the city, stand up for your colleague.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next name. Next name.
Paula Peebles.
No justice. No racist police. I want to thank City Council for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. President. But I'm standing here in solidarity with my colleagues that have already spoken, and I join them in thanking WRD and Citizen Solomon Jones for bringing us together. It's a total disgrace what has been revealed to us, but we know the Lord works in strange ways, and that's why it has been revealed to us, and we won't be quiet. We won't let it just be swept under the rugs like it has been done so many times by the FOP and the police. But you all that know me know I always talk about economics, so I'm going to interject that. The police get paid by our real estate and tax dollars. So we asking those other council people that have not joined this effort to be smart and join the effort that call for these police to be removed. It's a disgrace what they have, the blood that they have revealed, and that's actually being smeared on the city of Philadelphia. But also as a Philadelphian, I'm proud that Philadelphia is leading the way, because there are 8 other cities. There were 8 other cities identified, but we're leading the way in relationship to what you should do when your police reveal to you that in fact they don't like those who they police. And what we're saying is no problem, we'll give you your exit, but you're going to exit without our tax dollars. We refuse to continue to pay their salaries. This is a diverse city, and if you don't want to serve a diverse population, then you need to go where there are all white people of your kind. We will not back down. We are going to give the mayor, and I'm going to sit down, the mayor and the police commissioner the time that we indicated to them yesterday, but that's it. And then we're going to move on with the next step. Thank you so much. No justice, no peace.
Thank you. Next name. Thank you.
Rochelle Bilal.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Councilman, council, people, whatever your new name is. First of all, let me thank y'all for at least allowing us. I am support Council Person Derek Green proposal. Let me say this. I am a 27-year veteran of the Philadelphia Police Department. I am a black woman in this city. And I am appalled that any of my colleagues can make a statement about people that live here in this city. If we have 11 council people sign on and the rest of y'all aren't, then it's a problem with you. There's no way that anybody should be comfortable with that. There's no way that you should be sitting here silent. If you are afraid, go home. I'm saying right now, that's a shame. I'm appalled. I'm ashamed. And for the good cops, it damages us. It damages us. There are a lot of good police that do a lot of good work in the city, on and off duty. Right now, we are embarrassed and we are ashamed. And this is damaging the good work that all of us in this city do. It damages the trust. Do you know how long it's been that people like us, black cops, Hispanic cops, good white cops, all cops been working to build that trust? And for a few of us to think that they can just say anything they want about us, I am a Muslim. And I'll be damned if I let you tell me what you're going to do to me being in this city. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a mother. Are you kidding me? If the rest of you don't sign on it, you need to go home.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your testimony.
Gregory Holston.
Again, my name is Reverend Gregory Holston. I'm the Executive Director of Power. I stand with Reverend Mark Tyler, the Live Free team of Power, and also stand with Solomon Jones in the Rally for Justice, requesting that demanding that this bill be passed, this resolution be passed. I can't say enough. It is deeply rooted in what it means to be a Philadelphian, what it means to be an African-American Philadelphian, the relationship with the police department. From the very first, I can remember the image of seeing the Black Panthers stripped when I was just 6 years old. Gave me a message of how black people are treated in this city. And every event that happened since then, every event from a bomb being dropped on a community to police brutality to the 39th Police Precinct to stop and frisk, all gave the same image, the same message. You are less than human. You are less than a person. You are an animal. You are worthless. That message has been sent over and over, and finally we see it actually written before us in a Facebook post. They know, yes, really, you are just an animal to us. And our response is not to do anything. Our response is not to stand up. Our response is not to use every level of power that exists in your hands to move and fire those police officers right away. How dare you not use every bit of power you have to make a change in this city? We shouldn't have to come and request just a resolution or just a hearing, but there should already be a bill. There already should be some laws. You should be going to Harrisburg to change the arbitration system that will allow you to fire these cops on the spot. That should happen right now. You should be fighting for us. This is our children. This is our babies. This is our city. Won't you stand up today for us?
Thank you. Hold on, folks. Next name.
George Gould. Commenting on 180936.
Thank you. My name is George
Hold on,
Gould.
folks.
I'm a-
Quiet, please. Please respect the speakers, please. Respect the speakers, please.
Yeah, my name is George Gould. I'm a senior attorney at Community Legal Services. I'm here to speak about Bill 180936. This is a very important lead bill. It amends the current lead-safe certification law, which was supposed to protect children from lead poisoning. But we have found, and the health department and the law department has found, that it's unenforceable because they don't know when children 6 or under are moving into a property. The bill that is currently before council is a terrific bill. It is a very effective bill, and it was scheduled to be voted on June 13th. Unfortunately, this bill has been delayed till September. 2,200 children get lead poisoned in Philadelphia every year. We are extremely concerned about this delay. We have heard numerous reasons why the bill has to be delayed. We have been working on it for 18 months. One of the first reasons was we had to find common ground with landlords and real estate people. There is no common ground when you talk about children being lead poisoned. We also heard that there's some wrinkles in the bill, that there's some maybe enforcement issues. When there was testimony in committee about this bill, the health department and Al and I made it abundantly clear that they will set up a system where Al and I will have access to the health department database, and they will know whether or not there's been a lead certification issued. If not, they will not give a rental license. The other question was, well, how do you notify landlords about the two bill? They also testimony from the health department, easy. You just send them letters. Thank you. This bill needs to get passed.
Jana Curtis. Commenting on 180936.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Jana Curtis. I'm here in support of Bill 180936. Many of you know the story of my daughter's lead poisoning from the Enquirer's Toxic City series. I'm here on behalf of my daughter and the 1,200 members of Get the Lead Out and every mother I've met with in the last 2 years, coaching them through the scary days after finding out your kid's been poisoned. Because let's face it, it's moms who bear this burden. There's a sexism in lead poisoning prevention work that sickens me and should sicken every one of you members of City Council. If you saw Kamo Bell's piece on CNN on Sunday, he talks about how lead poisoning is a man-made problem, and that came from a conversation with me. It's male-dominated industries that brought lead into our everyday lives, and it's male-dominated industries that are keeping it there. It's the male-dominated landscape of landlords and developers who continue to poison our babies. But instead of endangering a man's profit, what we do as a city is we hand a mop to a worried mama and we tell her if she can clean good enough, then she can protect her baby. It's unacceptable that this practice continue. In no other industry would you be allowed to bring a product to market that poisons 2,200 kids year after year. But here in Philly, this council just shrugs at it. When I sat down for my interview with Kamo from CNN, he asked me about the Philly shrug, and I did what any good Philadelphian would do. I fought back. But this council's inaction on Bill 180936 is proving that Kamo may know Philly better than we know ourselves. It has been 1,639 days since my daughter's first elevated blood test, and not one day has passed where I haven't worried about her future. You are leaving behind babies by delaying this vote. Many of you have children. Remember the first time you held that baby in your arms. I'm asking you to stop shrugging at 180936. Vote now and vote yes as written. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your testimony.
Nancy Lanham. Commenting on 190467A.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Lanham, and I am a steering committee member of the Pay Up PPA Coalition. Pay Up PPA is dedicated to fighting for annual recurring revenue stream of at least $25 million to the Philadelphia School District from the Philadelphia Parking Authority. The formation of Pay Up PPA was in reaction to the many scandals at the PPA, which came to light through reports in the Philadelphia Inquirer and in the Pennsylvania Auditor General audit of the authority. Since January 2018, we have attended every PPA board meeting and provided public comment in support of our demands for annual school district funding and increased transparency and accountability at the PPA. We have also reached out to local and state officials, receiving public support from the Auditor General for our efforts to hold the PPA accountable. In addition to the many examples of the PPA's failures of transparency and good government found in the report of the Auditor General, one of its top lines was around rate increases. Quoting from the audit directly, the PPA lacks formal methodology and procedures for determining the necessity of rate and fee increases which affect its contributions to the school district. This was in regard to a 2014 request to increase parking penalties in front of City Council. When the increases went into effect, they failed to net the revenue promised to the Philadelphia School District, which was $7.5 million annually. As City Council debates Bill 190467, we are here to remind City Council that allowing the PPA to increase penalties without analysis is business as usual. Pay Up PPA supports the sunset provision within this legislation. This gives City Council some ability to oversee PPA revenue generated by any potential rent increases.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Giselle Alexander. Giselle Alexander. Eric Barnett. Eric Barnett. Stephanie Watkins. Commenting on 190441.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Watkins. This is my first time here. I'm here standing for the homeless in the city of Philadelphia. I just became homeless myself. A woman that has worked most of my life, and we have absolutely no help in finding housing, coming across hard times, not much income. There's women in the shelters that suffer from sicknesses such as AIDS, cancer, and so on. There is absolutely no help to help us find sustainable housing or low-income housing. We face many issues in those shelters, and we feel like our backs is against the wall because those that we speak to only defend their jobs within the shelters. So I stand here now to ask that issue of not having much income, low-income housing, be addressed for the shelters in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Emily Shapira. Emily Shapira. William McGills. William McGills. McGiles.
William Mason Giles is my full name. I actually came to speak on bill number 190575. I feel as though that I'm for this bill. Why? Because at the end of the day, we do need poverty reduction. It's the situation that I'm in now is because of my impoverished state. Now, I've been to this program called RISE, which is the mayor's program, and we were promised to be placed in jobs. I completed at least 4 certificates out of this program, and like I have no job, sir. I'm sitting here with no job. And I'm in a situation now to whereas I'm in a halfway house where they literally try and nail me to the cross because I have no job and I'm not able to provide them with proof of income. I literally walk the streets, sir, and I sell oils. I sell body oils in order to provide for myself. They claim that I'm doing something along the lines of criminality. You dig what I'm saying? In order for me to provide for myself, wash my clothes at this halfway house, buy a soda, and provide for my son. I walk around and I sell these oils, but yet I have staff in the halfway house literally trying to stop me from going out of this halfway house in order so that they can see me in a bad situation. They've literally dropped what is called a state indictment on me because they think that I'm out there selling drugs and doing wrong things. And they took my social security card, my state ID. I had to get all this over. Why? Because they want to see me in a bad position.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. Call the next name, please. Mr. Decker.
Annette Woodall. Annette Woodall. Maria Del Carmen.
She's here. Good afternoon.
Me atacan. Aquí. Buenos días, soy María del Carmen Díaz, vengo de México y tengo 24 años de experiencia limpiando casas, cuidando niños y cuidando personas de la tercera edad. Soy una líder con la Alianza de las Trabajadoras Domésticas del Hogar en Pensilvania.
So, good afternoon. I'm Maria del Carmen Diaz. I'm from Mexico, and I've worked as a house cleaner, nanny, and taking care of older people for 24 years. I'm a leader with the Pennsylvania Domestic Workers Alliance.
Estoy aquí en favor de la resolución de derechos de la concejala María Quiñones para celebrar el Día Internacional de la Trabajadora Doméstica. Hay 16,000 de nosotras en Filadelfia y 67 millones por todo el mundo.
I'm here in support of the resolution put forward by the Councilwoman Maria Quiñones to celebrate the International Domestic Workers Day. There's 16,000 of us here in Philadelphia and 67 million throughout the world.
Trabajadores vivimos buenas y malas experiencias, a veces no nos pagan por nuestro trabajo, si algo se rompe nos lo cobran, no tenemos beneficios de nada, por ejemplo, vacaciones, días de enfermedad, seguro médico y hay mucho racismo y no nos tratan con igualdad.
As workers, we live a lot of difficult things. Sometimes we're not paid for the work that we do. We don't have any benefits like sick time, vacation time, or health insurance. There's a lot of racism and we're not treated as equals.
Por eso necesitamos cambios con esta resolución por el Día Internacional y también con la Carta de Derechos que la señora Quiñones está introduciendo hoy.
This is why we need a lot of changes, and with this resolution for International Domestic Workers Day and the Domestic Worker Bill of Rights that is being considered as well.
Agradecemos a todos los concejales que nos han estado apoyando y la administración del alcalde por su apoyo también. Contamos con su apoyo en votos porque por este generoso la reelección este año.
We want to thank the council members who have been supporting us, as well as the county administration for your support, and we look forward to that support and your votes so we can win this year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shelley Yanoff.
Barnett, you call Barnett? Barnett Woodall before? Right before them.
Eric Barnett.
Arnett Woodall, independent for mayor. I want to speak on that poverty bill, and that poverty bill directly relates to this police thing that we have going on, because accountability not being applied. We want to know how many taxpayer dollars are now going to be wasted, because none of these police officers will be able to testify before none of the crimes that they've arrested people for. We want to know how this process is going to move forward, because now all of their testimony is tainted. They're not going to be able to testify against anyone. So that's hundreds of hours of Philadelphia taxpayer dollars wasted. There's no accountability. So we want to bring accountability. This poverty issue that we're talking about, I saw an article that I just read last week. Council President Clark. It talked about the community agreements that's done in the development process through the city of Philadelphia. We got another group that's talking, that come home from prison. They went through all the city of Philadelphia programs on crime reduction, 2-week programs, 6-week programs. None of these programs give these people that come home from prison second opportunities or second chances. All of these police officers, though, they'll get second chances. When the people of the city of Philadelphia do not get second chances, your returned citizens are not getting second chances. We just seen another article where we're boasting about 8,000 jobs. But at the end of the day, when we talk about poverty, and these jobs only lasting 6 weeks, the jobs only last 6 weeks, and if they only last 6 weeks, this is just stemming the policy on poverty. We also want to talk about that RCO process. The RCO process across the city of Philadelphia is creating poverty, and when we come back in September, that RCO process needs to be looked into deeply.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Decker.
Shelley Yanoff.
Thank you very much. I'm Shelley Yanoff. I'm a private citizen, but for almost 30 years, I was the Director of Public Citizens for Children and Youth. In 1987, I was just beginning my work at PCCY, and I was sitting in City Council, listening and hopefully learning. 2 nurses from Jefferson Hospital testified about the children they were seeing at the hospital that day who are forever harmed because of lead poisoning. I knew nothing about it. I was alarmed. Children who were being forever injured because of lead. Although England long ago forbade the use of lead paint in homes, we didn't get around to doing that until 80 years after they did. And the cost of that delay was severe in the lives of thousands of children in the states, in this city. It's always easier to put it off, to delay. The cost of delay is the cost that our children pay. We're finally close to providing a law with the support of most of you, which will provide some protection. Congratulations to all of you for supporting it. But there seems once again to be a reason to delay. Make no mistake, every day you delay, some babies, some children are being forever injured, and they're innocent children. The most vulnerable of us pay the price for this delay. Pass the bill, pass it now, develop implementation plans this summer, take a step that will save the future of thousands of children and this city. Thank you.
Joe Danahill.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is an official decree of the people and mandamus quo warranto, as such requires immediate action remedy. Every week, council, mayor, governor, and others transfer private property to the government, probably illegally. Consent of the governed is required to be proved before you act. Did the governed ask you to deny or restrict public comment at city council meetings, which has been done several times this year? Did the governed approve the theft of my home and theft of my just compensation? Did the governed approve your unanimous votes last June to spend upwards of $120 million federal HUD money to build a mall on top of my stolen home? If you do not want to perform your known duty or task, why do you run for re-election? Failure to perform your known duty or task is known by military people as treason. Why hasn't the Attorney General investigated and prosecuted my numerous complaints? I call on the federal and Commonwealth governments to perform its constitutional obligations, to investigate and prosecute all involved in the theft and illegal deed transfer of my home, 1038 West Wyoming Avenue. The denial of God-given 42 U.S.C. 1982 property rights for 25 years is egregious, extraordinary oath violating and requires immediate remedy. A just government must obey the rule of law. This color law government must have its charter to govern revoked until a constitutionally compliant government is installed. Public servants cannot refuse their sworn duty to act any more than a fireman can refuse to fight a fire. The sovereign people require oath, constitution, law be enforced, and jail is required for all of you who violate your oath, constitution, or law. I remind council, it takes a lot of cooperation to create and allow all of this monumental corruption.
Thank you for your testimony.
Brother Wasef.
Good.
Brother Wasef.
Oh, changed his mind. That's it.
Arnold Jones. Arnold Jones. There are no other speakers in the public comment list, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. Okay. Okay. We'll now consider today's bill consent agenda. I will ask Mr. Decker to please read the titles of all the bills on the consent agenda. After each bill is read, any member may object to the inclusion of the bill on the consent agenda. Upon such an objection, without debate, the bill will immediately be removed from the consent agenda and placed on a regular and second reading final passage calendar. I'm going to ask Mr. Decker to now please read the titles of all the bills on the consent agenda.
Bill number 190099AA, entitled an ordinance amending chapter 16300 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Maintenance and Supervision, by adding a new section requiring that all city buildings and facilities install and maintain sustaining medical equipment, including automated external defibrillators, AEDs, and advanced first aid kits. And Bill number 190457A, entitled an ordinance authorizing 1201 North Franklin, doing business as the International Bar, to install, own, and maintain an open-air sidewalk cafe at 1624 North Front Street. And Bill number 190458A, entitled an ordinance authorizing Antonio Perez to construct, own, and maintain a proposed exterior stairway at 1801 North Hancock Street. And Bill number 190462A, entitled an ordinance amending Title 11 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Streets, to authorize placement of wayfinding signs in the right-of-way. And Bill number 190444A, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Race Street, 17th Street, Vine Street, and 18th Street. And Bill number 190181, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 32nd Street, Market Street, 31st Street Extended, Chestnut Street, 30th Street, and Arch Street Extended. And Bill number 190232, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Kensington Avenue, Hilton Street, Jasper Street, and Madison Street. And Bill number 190250, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 14.516 of the Philadelphia Zoning Code, entitled West Overlay District. And Bill number 190254, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Knights Road, the Perkessing Creek, and Woodhaven Road. And Bill number 190256, entitled an ordinance amending the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Gresham Valley Drive, the SEPTA Chestnut Hill East Railroad, Mount Airy Avenue, Chew Avenue, Johnson Street, Emlyn Street, Carpenter Lane, and the SEPTA Chestnut Hill West Railroad. And Bill number 190305, entitled an ordinance to amend the master plan for Temple University and to approve the proposed addition and infill construction project at 1835 through 99 North 12th Street. And Bill number 190306, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Venango Street, 11th Street, Erie Avenue, and Marvine Street. And Bill number 190311, entitled an ordinance amending Section 14506 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled NCP, North Central Philadelphia Overlay District, by prohibiting two-family buildings. And Bill number 190312, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by South Street, the Schuylkill River, Spruce Street Extended, and Broad Street. And Bill number 190313, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, by amending the definition of and regulations for fresh food markets. And Bill number 190356, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14500, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by creating an overlay zoning district entitled WOA, West Oregon Avenue Overlay District. And Bill number 190359, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Roosevelt Boulevard, Bluegrass Road, and Grant Avenue. And Bill number 190360, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Old Newtown Road, Tremont Street, Roosevelt Boulevard, Woodward Street, and Winchester Avenue. And Bill number 190361, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 14500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by creating a new overlay entitled South 9th Street Market Overlay District. And Bill number 190362, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 4th Street, Race Street, Oriana Street, and Chestnut and Cherry Street. And Bill number 190380, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to define rear streets and to amend requirements related to parking and ground floor commercial as they pertain to primary frontages and rear streets. And Bill number 190407, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 56th Street, Poplar Street, 55th Street, and Cambridge Street. And Bill number 190408, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to revise certain provisions of Section 14504, entitled NCO, Neighborhood Conservation Overlay District. And Bill number 190409, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by 57th Street, Springfield Avenue, Cobbs Creek Parkway, and Woodland Avenue. And Bill number 190415, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Tasker Street, 4th Street, Porter Street, and 9th Street. And Bill number 190435, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Summer Street, 32nd Street, Race Street, and Natrona Street. And Bill number 190437, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 14500 of the Philadelphia Code, Section 14516, entitled WST West Overlay District. And Bill number 190443, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 14502 of the Zoning Code, entitled CTR Center City Overlay, Section 14701 of the Zoning Code, entitled Dimensional Standards, and Section 14702 of the Zoning Code, entitled Floor Area, Height, and Housing Density Bonuses. And Bill number 190447, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Henry Avenue, Ridge Avenue, Northwestern Avenue, the County Line, Forbidden Drive, and Wises Mill Road. And Bill number 190448, entitled An Ordinance to Amend the Philadelphia Zoning Maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land within an area bounded by Ridge Avenue, Indiana Avenue, and Hunting Park Avenue. And Bill number 190229, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing and Approving Certain Additional Projects Designated by the City Director of Finance to be financed by the Philadelphia Municipal Authority with remaining proceeds of said authority's City Service Agreement Revenue Bonds, Series 2014B. And Bill number 190358, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 192600 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Business Income and Receipts Taxes, by amending Section 192606, entitled Returns, to revise filing requirements. And Bill number 190383, entitled An Ordinance Approving the Amendment of the Fiscal Year 2019 Capital Budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions. And Bill number 190384, entitled An Ordinance Approving the Amendment of the Fiscal Year 2018 Capital Budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions. Bill number 190385, entitled An Ordinance Approving the Fiscal Year 2020 Capital Budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions. And Bill number 190412, entitled An Ordinance Approving City Participation in the Commonwealth's Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. And Bill number 190431, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Bond Committee to sell bonds at public or private negotiated sale to provide funds toward various capital municipal purposes, providing for appropriations to the Sinking Fund Commission for the payment of such bonds, authorizing agreements to provide credit or payment or liquidity sources for the bonds in connection with issuance of the bonds, and certain other actions, providing for obtaining the consent of the electors to increasing the indebtedness of the city and fixing a day and providing for the arrangements for holding the election for obtaining such consent. And Bill number 190432, entitled An Ordinance Constituting the 17th Supplemental Ordinance to the Amended and Restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the mayor, the city controller, and the city solicitor, or a majority of them, to issue and sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable airport revenue bonds or notes of the city of Philadelphia, some or all of which may be used for the implementation of a revolving commercial paper program. And Bill number 190433, entitled An Ordinance Constituting the 18th Supplemental Ordinance to the Amended and Restated General Airport Revenue Bond Ordinance, authorizing the mayor, the city controller, and the city solicitor, or a majority of them, to issue and sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable airport revenue bonds or notes of the city of Philadelphia. And Bill number 190439, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the city treasurer, on behalf of the city, to enter into an amendment agreement with Citizens Bank of Pennsylvania for provision of payroll banking services to the city. And Bill number 190440, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 193500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Hospital Assessments, to revise provisions relating to hospital assessments. And Bill number 190441, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Director of Planning and Development, on behalf of the city, to file applications with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for a community development block grant, to file applications to participate in the Home Investment Partnership Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and to apply for a Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS grant, and to file applications with the Commonwealth to obtain grants under the Act of April 12, 1956. And Bill number 190442, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the City Treasurer, on behalf of the city, to enter into a provider agreement with U.S. Bank National Association for the provision of custodial banking services to the City of Philadelphia, Office of the City Treasurer. And Bill number 181006, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title IV of the Philadelphia Code, entitled the Philadelphia Building Construction and Occupancy Code, by adopting the 2018 edition of the International Fire Code as published by the International Code Council, with previously adopted amendments thereto. And Bill number 190455, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title IV of the Philadelphia Code, entitled the Philadelphia Building Construction and Occupancy Code, by adopting the 2018 edition of the International Plumbing Code as published by the International Code Council as the Philadelphia Plumbing Code, with additions, deletions, and other amendments thereto. And Bill number 190461, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 3, Subparagraph F of an Ordinance approved March 1, 1963 as amended, relating to agreements to administer employee retirement benefits for certain quasi-public agencies. And Bill number 190378, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 193400 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Energy Conservation, to establish a solar panel incentive program, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. These bills having been read on 2 different days. The question for each bill now is, shall the bill pass finally? The clerk shall call a roll, and upon being called, each council member shall vote aye on each of the bills, nay on each of the bills, or indicate those bills for which the member is voting aye and those bills for which the member is voting nay. Mr. Decker, please call a roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Domb.
Aye on all bills with the exception of bill number 190443, which I will abstain from voting on.
Councilman Green.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Greenlee.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Gimm.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman O.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Gunnarnes Sanchez.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Squilla. Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye on all bills.
Council President Clark.
Aye on all bills. The majority of all members present having voted in affirmative for each of the bills on the consent agenda are passed. We now consider the bills and resolutions on our regular second reading and final passage calendar. And Mr. Decker, what? Oh, Chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Council President. I have to step out for council business. If I don't return in a timely fashion, I would like to be recorded voting aye on all bills and resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Record shall reflect that. In the event you won't return. Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the title 190566.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Councilwoman Blackwell, I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190566 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190567.
A resolution also naming the 1400 block of South 50th Street Reverend Charles Gregory Way in honor of the legacy of Reverend Gregory, the founder of the Mount Zion Baptist Church, for his contributions to his community.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
And Mr. President, on behalf of Councilwoman Blackwell, I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 190567 has been adopted. 190568.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to dispose of certain properties located in the 5th Councilmanic District, which will be transferred by the City of Philadelphia to the Redevelopment Authority by conveyance of such properties to the Philadelphia Land Bank.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190568 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190569.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots or pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 47th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 190569 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190571.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 2nd Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190571 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190572.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1309 South 20th Street located in the 2nd Councilmanic District.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190572 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190573.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 19th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
Thank you, Council President. I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 190573 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190574.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3017 North Phillip Street located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 190574 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190575.
A resolution appointing co-chairs to the Special Committee on Poverty Reduction and Prevention established pursuant to Resolution number 190239 and authorized to hold hearings to propose and implement actionable policies and programs that substantively prevent and alleviate poverty in every Philadelphia neighborhood.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
Thank you. On your behalf, I move for its adoption.
Can I get a second? Second. Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 190575 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190576.
A resolution urging Governor Tom Wolf and the Pennsylvania General Assembly to protect and expand the General Assistance Program to provide a lifeline for people with disabilities throughout the City of Philadelphia and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
Thank you, Council President. I move for its adoption.
Moving properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 190576 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190577.
A resolution urging the U.S. Department of the Treasury to reconsider the decision to delay the redesign of the $20 bill to feature 19th century abolitionist leader Harriet Tubman.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190577 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190579.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Whitman urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2432 South Lee Street.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 190579 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 190580.
A resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Worcester 2 urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 417 East Worcester Street, 423 East Worcester Street, 431 East Worcester Street, 443 East Worcester Street, 5120 Roof Street, 445 East Worcester Street, and 445 Rear East Worcester Street.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 190580 is adopted. 190584, Mr.
A
Decker.
resolution urging the Office of the Philadelphia City Commissioners to maximize language access services available through the city's new voting machines.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution number 190584 is adopted. Mr. Decker. $190,253.
An ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning by providing for adult care, clarifying daycare as child care, and related changes.
This bill has been heard on two separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Domb. Councilman Green. Councilman Greenlee. Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan is voting aye. Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Taubenberger.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
I'm sorry, aye. Majority of members present, voting in the affirmative. The bill passes. Which one? Thank you. Okay. Mr. Decker, you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution commending and honoring Taryn Jahey Flaherty for her steadfast commitment to bringing Philadelphia's history of student activism and protest politics into the national spotlight, and for winning first place in Pennsylvania and second place nationwide in the 2019 National History Day competition, introduced by Councilman Greenlee on behalf of Council President Clark.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
I move the adoption of the resolution.
Been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring the late Jeff Duperon, a beloved ambassador of jazz music in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also, submitting this in spirit was Councilman David O. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution calling on the Director of Planning and Development to commission an annual disparity study of land dispositions by the city and its related agencies.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
On behalf of Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. And the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing the contributions of nannies, house cleaners, care workers, and other domestic workers whose work holds up Philadelphia's communities and households by declaring June 16, 2019 as International Domestic Workers Day in the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Thank you, Council President. Before I move for its adoption, I just want to recognize the women of council and our allies and supporters. We celebrated Women's Month by holding a hearing and putting a voice and a face to the thousands of workers in the city of Philadelphia. Today we join in celebrating them. I want to thank my council colleagues, Blondell Reynolds Brown, Councilman Greenlee, and Councilwoman Parker for joining the women and employers and the Alliance for Domestic Workers as we celebrate this National Day. We also introduced a bill today, and we look forward to working with the administration, and we want to thank them for their work to date in putting together a working group so that we can really put forth the most progressive, enforceable Bill of Rights for this constituency. So I'm very proud to support this resolution, and I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee of the Whole to hold hearings regarding the Plainview Project database on objectionable social media posts of law enforcement officers, introduced by Councilman Green.
Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Thank you, Council President. Every day, men and women across the city put on a uniform badge to protect and serve all of us. They are our fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, neighbors, and constituents. Many of us have worked with the police through Police Athletic League, block cleanups, and other community service projects. Two of my uncles were on the job and retired from the police department. As a young assistant district attorney, I worked with many great officers. Yet it was also during this time when I was also once racially profiled while leaving the DA's office. As a member of council, reading the Plainview Project information was disturbing. As a black man, it was painful. Last week, we had a very violent weekend in our city. We need the police to protect and serve. We also trust that they will treat everyone equally. Unfortunately, this incident has eroded this trust. I look forward to the outcome of Commissioner Ross's investigation so that we can address this issue. Through this information, I believe that we can take action and begin to restore the trust that has been eroded. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and this resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring the Friends, Peace, and Sanctuary Project for its work in providing Philadelphia-based Iraqi and Syrian residents a space to explore and share their experiences of migration, resilience, and refuge through the arts, introduced by Councilwoman Gim.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gibb.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing July 23rd, 2019 as World Castleman Disease Day and recognizing the continued efforts of Dr. David Fachenbaum and the Castleman Disease Collaborative Network in searching for a cure for Castleman's disease, introduced by Councilman Taubenberger.
Chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating Kyle Lowry, a North Philadelphia native, on the event of his winning of the NBA championship and for his continued positive presentation in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilman Taubenberger.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes. He's from North Philly, right? Or North Philly. I'm just checking, you know. All right, I'm sorry. I digress.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing Captain Maximilian Clark, a Philadelphia native, for his continued service in the United States Navy for over 20 years and his appointment as the commanding officer of the aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, introduced by Councilman Taubenberger.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution initiating action to establish a neighborhood improvement district to be known as the South Philly Market District in an area that generally includes all taxable commercial properties, properties used for any for-profit activity involving trade or commerce in general, including vacant commercial and industrial zone parcels and residential properties comprised of at least one unit rented to tenants for profit along both sides of South 9th Street, from the south side of Fitzwater Street to the north side of Federal Street, along both sides of Christian Street, from the west side of South 7th Street to the east side of South 10th Street, along both sides of Montrose Street from South 8th Street to South 10th Street, along both sides of Carpenter Street from South 8th Street to South 10th Street, along both sides of Washington Avenue from the west side of South 8th Street to the east side of South 11th Street, along both sides of Ellsworth Street from East Passyunk Avenue to South 10th Street, along both sides of East Passyunk Avenue from the south side of Washington Avenue to the north side of Federal Street, along both sides of South 10th Street from the south side of Christian Street to the north side of Ellsworth Street, along both sides of South 8th Street between the south side of Fitzwater Street and the north side of Ellsworth Street, the north side of Christian Street from the property located at 1031 Christian Street to the property located on the corner of Christian Street and South 10th Street, the south side of Christian Street from the property located at 1020 Christian Street to the property located on the corner of Christian Street and South 10th Street, the corner property located at 638 Christian Street, which is adjacent to South 7th Street, the corner property located at 1101 through 09 11th Street, which is adjacent to Washington Avenue, and the corner property located at 750 Fitzwater Street, which is adjacent to South 8th Street, for which the South Philly Market Street Incorporated, which has organized itself as a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, serves as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association.
Who's it?
Introduced by Councilman Squilla.
All right, thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution initiating action to establish a neighborhood improvement district in an area that generally includes both sides of Frankfurt Avenue, from the west side of Delaware Avenue to the southwest side of Lehigh Avenue, both sides, of North Front Street from the north side of Poplar Street to the south side of Montgomery Street, both sides of East Girard Avenue from Frankfurt Avenue continuing to the west side of East Fletcher Street, the north side of West Girard Avenue from Frankfurt Avenue to Front Street, and the south side of West Girard from Frankfurt Avenue to Howard Street, and certain blocks of streets that intersect portions of these streets, to be known as the Fishtown Area Business Improvement District, for which the Fishtown Area Business Improvement District Incorporated, which has organized itself as a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, serves as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association, introduced by Councilwoman Bass on behalf of Councilman Squilla.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for the adoption. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. On speeches on behalf of the minority, Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. I just wanted to announce that Matt Pershey, who's been my legislative aide all these years, he will be leaving my office. He was accepted at Harvard University, but has chosen to go to Georgetown University on a full scholarship to the McCourt School of Public Policy. So,
congratulations.
I offered him a little bit more money, but he turned it down.
Well,
no, in all seriousness, I want to congratulate him, thank him for his work, and we wish him well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman, when he finishes, when he comes back, you're going to have to offer him a whole lot of money to get him back.
I might need a job.
All right. Thank you. On speeches on behalf of the majority, Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the last day of council, I will not belabor these comments any longer than I have to, but I feel compelled to speak about what we witnessed today and put a couple of things in perspective. Number one, that I want to applaud my fellow members, in particular Councilwoman Gim, who was all on top of this early, who served as sometimes council's Jiminy Cricket and voice of consciousness, and that was important as we started to put together our strategy. I want to recognize also my colleague, Councilman Green, for putting up the resolution and definitively stating our position. I want to thank the members for all unanimously supporting it. And even if you didn't, you kept it quiet and you didn't put it in the vote. But so I'm going to take it at your silence as tacit approval for speaking out on the issue. I want to also recognize the mayor who did not let grass grow under this issue, along with the commissioner who took definitive action, and we're going to see and give him time to see where the due process goes with this. But I want to also juxtapose this with what is going on and what happened last weekend. Last weekend, there were 18 shootings resulting in close to 30 victims and 5 fatalities. I watched Unforgiven, which is a movie by Clint Eastwood. There were more fatalities in a bad weekend in Philly than in the movie Unforgiven. We have to have a balance with our police officers that revolves around trust. That whether you are a victim or someone who needs their assistance, you have to have a degree of confidence that when you come to them, you are coming to the good guys that are going to give you help. What those 300 plus officers did was raise a shadow of doubt about where they stood in protect and serve as they swore themselves in towards us. And a lot of times this street side justice, this back and forth shooting of each other is because these young Thundercats don't often trust the system to take care of it in a fair and equitable manner. I speak to you also as a human relation commissioner for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And there is a thing called implicit bias. That's when you don't even know what you're doing is prejudice and racist. If you have these feelings, you are entitled under the Constitution to feel them and even say them in a private way. But when you put on that badge, when you go through our streets, we have to have a higher degree of confidence that you are for us. And so when these people, when the public came down here today to voice their frustration, and oftentimes it's misplaced at us, oftentimes, but they're expecting us to put the feet to the fire to our colleagues on the second floor. And we have a responsibility to do that because we do in part, control the purse strings. So I look forward to what comes next. I'm proud of the fact that my colleague, Kenyatta Johnson, is going to have those anti-violence hearings next week. He has been consistent on this issue, And so as we raise our voices to talk about our displeasure about the police that violated this, and keeping in mind what Councilman Green said, that we've interacted with a lot of good police that do a lot of great things in the community, we have to equally be upset about the state of emergency that is happening on our streets every day. Because as we spoke today, there was another murder in my district. A teenager in Carroll Park. I don't know the circumstances, but I was here. But that makes him 154 for the year. That's 9% above last year. These are problems that have percolated to a crisis in the city of Philadelphia that needs to be addressed, and we need to balance the scales of justice by having confidence in the people in blue that are sworn to protect us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gimm.
Thank you very much, Council President. I want to thank my colleague, Councilman Jones, for such an eloquent speech about what happened today. I also want to just share that a lot of the work that we have to conduct here in this body is to not accept violence or take the traditional approaches. We're not going to solve it by policing up. There's not going to be enough police that you can put on the streets to tackle what is clearly a public health emergency, especially among our young people. It is wrong for us to turn young people away from rec centers and playgrounds and to not have those actually open up late, especially in the summer times. So, we have a lot of work to do on this. It's a long conversation, and we're going to have a lot of opportunities to do that. But I want to thank Councilman Jones and all of the council members here who are helping me learn, and who are all of us teaching one another about how we're going to figure this out. So I also wanted to just say that most of us know as council members that we are only as often as good as our staff. And 2 years ago, my legislative aide, Jordan Connell, walked into my office and, asked to work for the office, and sat down with him for just, an hour or so, and hired him on the spot, which almost never happens for me. And since then, he's been described as a magician who makes things happen by people who testify here in public office. But he's also been integral to much of the great work of my office, including handling the Fair Work Week bill, navigating that with businesses, authoring the 1967 Black student walkouts resolution and presentation, residential treatment school funding. He's been involved in a lot of it. He loves this body. I think that's the thing that I appreciate so much. Not only is he a brilliant and passionate and hardworking person, but he loves this institution, and I think that that's hard to find. He loves the process of what happens to make a bill. He loves the relationships that he can build, both inside on this floor and outside on this body. He's going off to study at Penn Law, and along with his Central High School credentials and Yale and Rhodes Scholarship, I'm sure Penn Law is just going to cap it all off, but I know that he's always got a home here, and I wish him the best, and come back to us.
Sure. Congratulations. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to lend my voice in saying thanks to Councilman Green for his leadership, and look forward to the fact gathering and evidence, not only that we gather from the hearing, but also from the third party independent research being conducted on behalf of our city, so that when we move forward, anyone who should go won't be able to go through the arbitration process and claim wrongful termination. We will have done our due diligence, so I appreciate that. I also had to say this, and to my colleague, Councilman Kenyatta Johnson. Yesterday, I was thinking about you, Councilman, and not from the perspective of being a legislator and or a council person, but that I remembered that I had a great deal of respect for you when I first met you, because your first entree into community activism didn't come when you were asking somebody to push a button for you. It came because of something deeply personal that impacted your life, and without the power of being elected, you worked to try to come up with a solution within your own community to address it. And with that being said, I want to ask all residents of the 9th Councilmember District, and Councilman, for the record, I'm going to be late, so don't think I'm not showing up for you. You know, the hearing that will take place on next Wednesday, June 26th, I believe it is, at 11. I want to thank you for your leadership there. I know you, along with Councilman Jones, and of course with the leadership of our council president, have had a laser focus on that area, and I want to say thank you for that. In addition to that, little personal privilege here, and I'm going to ask him to stand, Mr. Jalen Scott Davis. I did not know this gentleman before today, but when I walked out into the hallway, he proceeded to let me know what he was here advocating for, that he was the class of 2021 for any Cheney graduates in the house. He is going to be alum of the first historically black degree granting institution of higher learning in the Commonwealth, and that's Lincoln University. And right now he's interning at PIDC, and he's a resident of the 9th Councilmember District in Logan. So Jalen, we honor you, and we shut the school down, and we were able to get student representation on that board of trustees, and don't you let anybody take that vote away from y'all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. First, I want to give a shout out to one of my staff members. We have a luncheon for him later on today, and most of you do know him by the name of Dylan Mahoney. He's moved on to Temple University to be a lawyer. This is the second one of my staff members who also left the office to go to Temple University to become a lawyer. But the interesting part about Dylan and also my former staff member Peter, who's now a lawyer, is they started off doing policy work with no law degree, learning how to write legislation, and Dylan, within his own right, was baptized by the fire dealing with zoning. And so most of those comments that are directed to me regarding development in the 2nd Councilmember District, he would have to go and deal with the community residents in the neighborhood on the ground. And so I remember him being green into a mature policy wonk around the issue of zoning and having no problem navigating that process. So I just definitely wanted to acknowledge him for his hard work, his dedication, and also just take a moment. I thank my colleague Derek Green and Helen Kim and Curtis Jones, and we were all talking on the telephone late last evening. But this started even a week or two ago when the report first came out, and really making sure that we had a responsible response. But at the end of the day, we all were under the same agreement that no matter how many investigations that you do, the actions of those officers were totally unacceptable, like at the end of the day. And so I thank my colleague, Derek Green, for stepping up to the plate and speaking truth to power through legislation, so we can get to the bottom of this issue. And what keeps me up late at night on a regular basis is similar to what Councilwoman Parker talked about. You know, we have Father's Day weekend. I'm a new dad, so I'm enjoying myself with my family. And nevertheless, we see carnage all throughout the city of Philadelphia, particularly in my district, graduation party. There was a mass shooting, and so we know when there are mass shootings, there's usually a certain level of attention that are given to those types of issues. And so I've been working with the members of the African and Caribbean community in the southwest part of my district, but also want to use this as an opportunity next Wednesday to host that special committee on gun violence hearing. I'm inviting all of our colleagues to come to the table to kind of figure out how do we wrap our arms around this issue as a city. And if we're dealing with trust on one end with the Philadelphia police officers who we actually need to solve these homicides, right? And so we need to have that type of relationship and that trust there in order for people to come forward with information to resolve the homicides that we're seeing. But also we recognize that we're not going to police our way out of this situation. And so I remember under a couple other administrations prior to me becoming a council person, we had beacon schools, where the schools were open after hours to like 9 o'clock for our young people to get involved in things that are positive. We had curfew centers throughout the city of Philadelphia. I remember Judge Dockery, Supreme Court Judge Dockery, volunteered to open up a community court in the 12th Police District to crack down on young people when it came to them getting involved in things that wasn't becoming of them being productive members of their society. I remember we had Hands Across Philadelphia, where we all came together as a community and found different ways of trying to support one another from a partnership and coalition building perspective. And so that's going to be my approach moving forward. Again, this is something that keeps me up at the end of every night, because at the end of the day, we do not want to see the lives of our young people taken away from senseless gun violence, but also as parents who have children and seniors who live inside our communities, they shouldn't have to fear going to and from their homes of being shot or murdered. And so I look forward to a robust dialogue, but most importantly, some action steps so we can move forward and making sure that our city is safe. Also, next Thursday, in the southwest part of my district, where the graduation party was shot up, we'll be having a community meeting at Patterson Elementary School at 70th and Buick Avenue to begin looking at how do we heal the community and address those issues in Southwest Philadelphia. That was only one major mass shooting, but also we had several other shootings in the African and Caribbean community in the southwest part of my district. And so we want to get down to the bottom of why we're seeing this rise in level of shootings, and most importantly, making sure that our neighborhoods are safe and our recreation centers and our playgrounds are safe for all of our young people. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you,
and everyone
Councilman.
have a blessed summer.
Thank you, Councilman. Keep up the good work. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak to 3 points. First, like Councilwoman Bass and many of my colleagues, we too take great pride in mentoring young people in the office. And this summer we have 4 high school interns and 4 college interns. And we know that when we do a great job mentoring young people, interns like Catherine Gilmore Richardson grew up to become prospective elected officials. So I want to salute future leaders, Anya Castro, Tyler McCauley, Jada Hall, Haley Proctor, Sekou Diambuya, and Stephanie Brown, who will be with us over the next 8 to 12 weeks of this summer, looking at government up close and personal. Secondly, I too want to punctuate the salute to Councilman Green, Councilmembers Jones, and Councilwoman Helen Gim for being what I call thoughtful and judicious in how we approach this ugly matter facing our city with regards to the police. And to Councilman Johnson, you should know that it was Mayor Green, Mayor Street and I, who actually set up curfew centers during his administration, and they indeed made a difference in helping to keep young people on track. Lastly, Councilman Good and I were noisemakers during our tenure together here in Philadelphia City Council, and I would be remiss, extremely remiss, not to remind us that the latest and aptly named disparity study was recently issued by the city's Office of Economic Opportunity, and the bottom line is that there is not good news. Fortunately, Councilman Good and I have been joined by others of us in City Council who still deeply care about the critical issue of diversity and inclusion. And anything involving public safety, you cannot talk about that without talking about poverty, period. To the extent that we can do better in giving and offering and ensuring minority and women-owned businesses to have access to city contracts, we all win. I will not stipulate the numbers because they are in the report. I will say they are troubling and that we as a city must do better if we are authentic and serious about fighting poverty and breaking the brutal cycle of what it looks like. So in closing, when we take a close look at the definition of diversity and inclusion, we cannot talk about one without looking at the other. Government has to lead by example because we know when we have diversity, research tells us that we have better and different outcomes. Mr. President, I would submit that our city must do better. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez.
Thank you. I also want to thank everyone. Today was an important day in that we had many different groups come forward and utilize this forum and this body to lift up the voices of the folks who are frustrated and concerned in the city. This is about restorative investments. Restorative investments go to our core and key to us lifting folks out of poverty. While we will recess this council, the work is not done. Not only will Councilman Johnson have hearings next week in the 7th Councilmember District, joined by Councilman Squilla, Councilwoman Cindy Bass, who's Chair of Public Health, we will be hosting a community hearing on updating the city's efforts on the opioid challenges that we face in Kensington. That will be on Wednesday at 6 o'clock at Harrogate Powell. So the work not only continues, but I think it is during our opportunity in the summer to be at every single block and every single discussion that informs the work that we do here in council. And for that reason, I want to thank you, Council President Clark, for putting together this committee on poverty. We know what the problems are. We know the need for restorative investments, and now we have to take bold action. I look forward to working not only with the co-chairs, but the different community members who will be part of that discussion, and hope that we can put forth a very thoughtful, thorough report for council to support and move forward along with the administration. The issue of not only getting people out of poverty, but really providing access and opportunity is core and fundamental if we're going to seek progress. As Councilman Green mentioned, trust. We need to have people trust that their government truly represents them. And here in council, I sit every Thursday and I watch people come forward and challenge us to do better. And it is time that we do so. We are at a particular point in our history. We have a budget surplus, and we have an opportunity to be very strategic in these investments so that we can change the trajectory of the city of Philadelphia. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. No more speeches. With that, Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, September 12th, 2019 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It's been moved and probably second that council stand adjourned until Thursday, September 12th, 2019, 10 a.m. And all those in favor say aye. Thank you all very much. Motion carries. See you later.